Welcome to Synk Town. Let's start by extending this road here and make the first bit of town in Synk Town. Game, are you okay? Game, hello. There we go. So I'm going to pick here. And this is going to be the main high street for the town. The game does not like the idea of that. There we are, so we've got the main high street of the town now in. So we're going to start by having some nice UK mixed housing. And we will need to set up some electricity. So we could import from here, but I think we'll just pop a wind turbine there. Connect that up. That's the electricity sorted. We'll put a water tower there. So this is like surfaces here, isn't it? And we'll do sewage over this way. That should be all of our issues sorted. And we'll put in some plain commercial on this side. There's a bit of a hill there, but that's alright. And then in this area here is where I'm going to put our residential. That line did not go straight. I'm still not sure that's straight, but it'll be good enough for us for now. So we'll start with some low density. Fill in that area. And all of this as well. We'll leave a bit of a gap here. So that is our low density. And now, let's keep an eye out for our first resident turning up. We currently have no people living in our city. There's a car. Oh, is this car coming in? That car is coming in. Let's see which house they go to. So they've parked up on the side of the road. I'm not sure that's okay. That guy does not sound happy. Which one of these houses are they going to? Perhaps they live in our mixed zoning. They are called Harrington. So I think we will call this entire region Harrington. Harrington Close. That will be our first name. So we'll fast forward a bit and let all the houses in Harrington Close get built up. And you can see all the cars of the people moving in. So there is a lack of entertainment in Harrington at the minute. That is the biggest complaint that our residents have, of all things. So we'll get them a nice park. That is maybe a bit too big. Maybe a small park would be a better idea. Even that's too big to fit in there. I think that will fit nicely. And we will connect our park up to the road on the other side as well. I'm not sure that looks too great with the path there actually. Yeah, let's get rid of that. That has destroyed all of our houses, so let's get them back in again. And these are some nicely sized residential. What is this? A recreational building. I think we will extend this road ever so slightly. We'll drop that in there. We don't want it to be entirely symmetrical, so we'll bring that up there. I'm going to put a little pocket of medium density. And a pocket of low rent housing in there. Have we got two petrol stations next to each other? I'm not sure that was a good idea, but if the game likes it, then we'll go for it. Got a couple more houses there. Should they be slightly bigger? Yeah. I think we'll put some UK terraced housing in there. And let's see if that gets built. So, the first thing our residents have started complaining about is not having an ambulance. So, this is where we'll have to start thinking about adding some services into our city. So do we think a small medical clinic will be big enough? I think we'll stick to the UK theme and use a small medical practice. We stick that there. And I'm going to take this alley road all the way along and up in there. That road is not straight. So we've got a decent size area of buildings here. I'm trying to keep everything inside this small square to begin with. And we've got an empty patch here, so I think I'm going to run a road along there. And then our park moves in. And fill that in with residential. And then destroy the path again. Hopefully that house stays there. Now, we are building on a hill, but I think that's all part of the character of our town. So the next issue is crime rate. The UK police station fits in there nicely. Does any of these have any extensions? They're all part of the building. So I think we'll be fine leaving them as they are for now. We can add them on if we need them. Now, fire is the other service that we might need. That is not going to fit in there. Although a small firehouse will fit perfectly in here. So I'm going to put that there. It's not the UK theme, but I think that fits nicely. What else do our residents need? They need an elementary school, of course. Now I feel like that will go quite nicely up along here. So what sort of sizes? We could get a small one that just about fits there. The UK primary school is far too big. Now this normal elementary school would be nice, but unless it went along here. But I'd like to stick to having it here, so we'll go for the small one and pop that on the corner there. Does it have any extensions? They're both external, and we're not going to be able to fit them on there with the size that we have. Well, this one would fit, but the gymnasium, it says it would fit. I'm not sure I'd be happy to have that so close to the motorway though. So do we have any students at the minute? We've got 40 students, which is a decent amount, and we've hit 1,000 residents. And we are losing a lot of money currently. So it might be about time to start thinking about actually adding in some jobs. We have like 62% almost of our residents are currently unemployed. Because the only jobs we've got are in the commercial area, so do we do industry done on this area, or do we move it over this side? What direction is the wind blowing? Well, the wind's blowing that way. I feel like we probably shouldn't put it this island, because that might be quite nice to use at some point. So I think we'll put our industrial area over here. We've got a nice roundabout here, I quite like that. We'll come off this as a single line though. Run that straight down there. Where I've tried to add curves into the residential roads. The industrial is a lot more of a gridded area, so a 112. I'm gonna go 256. The alignment's not great on that, but it shouldn't be too big of an issue for us. So we've got a bit of a grid now. Do we have any signature buildings that would be good to add in first? I feel like we're not a big enough town to require any of these just yet. This one will be good though. So what does this do? I'll put that there. I quite like the look of that building. And then the rest of this we will just fill up with normal industrial zoning. And because that is a highway style road, none of our services make it across, so we'll have to connect them up there. So that should be those issues sorted. And now the next issue that we are seeing is death care. So I feel like this is where the UK style is perfect. And I want this to be somewhat out of the way, So I think I'm just going to put that down here, and now I don't want traffic lights on that. I need to be free flowing and people can just turn in. So yeah, there's our hearses coming out. We've got a lot of demand for hearses at the minute. So how are people getting across to work then? We'll see that there'll be a few people trying to leave in a couple of minutes. When we get to about 7 o'clock, everyone will be heading to work. And I don't like the fact that everybody is parked on the streets. What can we do about that? That's slightly too big for that area. I'll put one of them there though. And will one fit in beside the school? We'll have to move that if we extend the school later on, but that's no big deal. I feel like we should probably get one of these bigger ones in as part of this industrial area. I'll put that there. And we've got more demand for industrial, so we'll extend this a bit further down there. The zoning's not working great on this bit because it's such a steep hill, but we don't mind if it's perfect. And I'm going to run this around the side of this building. Connect that up there, and then use, say, an alley style road cutting straight across there like that. And we'll fill all that area in as well, and that should use most of our industrial demand. I've still got a bit of industrial demand, but I think I'm going to fill the rest of this area with offices. So we don't want to go too close, so I want to come down to about here. We're going to have to anarchy that junction in. There we are. That looks okay. And we'll stick to low density offices for now. And we are now making money, which is good. Do we make any money from exporting anything? So we've got a surplus of steel that we'll be exporting, which is very nice. We've got like a nice volcanic mountain looking thing over here that'll be quite nice to play around with. And I feel like this is the perfect place to do some logging at some point. And we can have like a little cargo train terminal over here. Or down here maybe. And we could be bridging that across here to connect up. That's all plans for future episodes. So we'll put that parking space there. And we'll get some bike parking in as well. And I feel like that's a bit boring at the minute, so what do chestnut trees look like in the game? I'll make them fully grown, I think. So that's filling up quite nicely. So I'm going to stick that in there. That'll do for now. So we do not have enough workers currently. So I think it is time to expand further. I want to do a complex curve here. Come down slightly. And I'm going to cut that down there. So have we got any signature residential buildings? We'll stick them on the end here. That's more of like a thing for over here. We can add that in later. Something like this would be cool too. That is far too big for the city that we've got. That is nice, but again, slightly too big. I like this, so I'm going to stick that in there. And then we're going to go for standard high density for the rest of this stuff. So our wind turbine is not producing enough power, so we'll add solar and upgrade that. We'll need to do something more permanent with the power at some point. Now, what do we do with this bit? Because we need more residents again. I'm going to add in some UK medium density. Do that as low rent housing. And a bit more mixed zone in there. Let's just stagger the skyline a bit. I don't like that building. Or that building. I feel like they're all too similar. So I'm going to replace that with that. And that with that. See what we get from that. I might get nothing, but we've got a big gap here as well. This is where something like this could probably fit in quite nicely. They're all slightly too big, aren't they? Well, we are almost at 2,000 people living in our city now. So what have we still got to add? We need internet service and mail. And we probably need some public transport as well. Telecom stuff should be pretty straightforward to sort out. We'll place that in there. So that should be that issue sorted. And the next one was mail service. A couple of post boxes down in the area. One there. I kind of messed up this whole bit. I'm going to have anarchy on for this whole area now. But we'll put a small post office down there. And they can go out and collect stuff. Our citizens are loving life at the minute. I feel like we really need to add in some more low density housing, because this is all we've got of that really. There's a big demand for it as well, and they are complaining of small homes. We're starting to see some traffic as well with everyone moving in. I think a better way to do this parking would be to turn that building around. I'm going to connect that up to there. That is after all those houses. And I'm going to turn that around and snap that on there like that. So there is a ton of people moving in. We're almost at 3,000 residents already. Let's put some trees down the side of our main road. Now traffic is starting to be a bit of a problem. It would be good to try and spread the traffic out a bit. I'm not sure how we're going to do that though. This building burned down. So I'm going to try and get a high density office building there. Yeah, we've got this building. I think that looks a lot nicer with having different sized buildings there. And I'm not sure that these buildings fit in there, so I might move these over this way a bit later on and have more low density on this side of the street.